Okay, this is the ABL Sports Week 10 college football takeaways. So we're gonna get this started. So we're gonna go game by game. It was a very intense week. It's kind of funny. Everyone was like, "Oh, this week, not gonna be up much," but no, this week had quite a few upsets and quite a few good games. So starting off with the game of the first game, it was the first game to kick off. We have Ohio State taking care of Penn State, beating them 38 to 14. Me at ABL Sports, that this was one of my favorite picks, Ohio State minus 20 and a half. So the first half was a little close. It was about 17-14 at halftime. In the second half, I mean, the Ohio State passing attack. You thought it was good last year. Oh, I mean, this year it might be even better. I mean, if you look at it, Julian Sane, I mean, he's on his way to a Heisman Trophy. In my opinion, it's going to be between him, Mendoza, and Dante Moore. Those three guys right there. And then you look at like these other Ohio States like receivers. Cardell Tate's getting all the love this year. Jeremiah Smith, let me tell you, the more love Cardell Tate gets, the better it is for Jeremiah Smith. Simply because Jeremiah Smith later in the season in playoff games might find himself self in single coverage way more because he's double covered every play. But with the emergence of Cardell Tate, Jeremiah Smith's going to find himself in single coverage, which will be phenomenal for him because we all know he can beat that. He's going to be the number one pick in the 2027 draft. And then Penn State, out of all the games, this is probably their best game they've played so far. Yes, I know they took Iowa to the limit, but um that like I don't know, I just felt like they played slop like that was more Iowa playing sloppy than Penn State playing good. But if you look at this game right here in the first half, I mean, Penn State was in this. And like I was like, is Ohio State not gonna cover the spread? Because that's what I was kind of concerned about right there. But no, Ohio State pulled out in the second half, a very dominant performance from them. I I feel like the score does indicate the game, and a lot of people are going to say it doesn't, but no, Ohio State dominated. They started off a little slow, but when they needed to, that passing attack and defense being the key word, showed up. So next, we got another noon kickoff. Texas beating Vanderbilt 34-31. I wouldn't call this an upset. I picked Texas. It was one of my favorite bets of the week. I thought the Texas offense was going to come in here and just dominate, and that's what they did. So, literally, the first play of the game, it was a touchdown. And so I think Arch Manning's starting to find himself. I think he's really starting to establish himself as one of the top QBs in college football. He had probably his best game of the year today. The game against Mississippi State last week, although they almost got upset, and yes, he got knocked out with a concussion. He played phenomenal in that game. And then they had a game against Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. He played really good in that. I know the stats don't indicate it. I was there. I saw him in person. In the second half, Texas was in control of the game, and he just tried not to turn the ball over, and that's what he did. He listened to coaches to QB 101. That is all you can ask from Arch Manning. And then I'm starting to notice something about Vanderbilt. They struggle in big games. And I have their schedule pulled up right down here. Sorry about that. Um, And if you look at their schedule, that Virginia Tech win, I mean, Virginia Tech might be the worst Power Five team in all of college football. So that's looking like 100 teams could beat them. You look at the South Carolina game. Yes, they were ranked number 11 at the time, but that win doesn't look too sexy anymore because South Carolina, I believe, is 3-5 right now, maybe even 3-6. Like they have, I think, one win in the SEC this year. And then Alabama. I mean, they kept it close with Bama for a little bit, but Bama just kind of took that game away. And then the LSU game, yes, at the time, LSU was a top 10 team. Look at LSU now. They had a night game at Death Valley. They lost to Texas A&M. I don't want to say dominated because they were leading in the first half. And the Missouri game, I mean, yes, the Bo Pribbler got injured at the end, but who knows if he doesn't get injured, what happens in that game. And then they lose to Texas, a game that, listen, I don't care what the line says. If you are a top 10 team in the country, you should be able to beat a number 20 team on the road. I don't care how tough that road environment is. They should be able to beat them. And looking at the remaining schedule, they have Auburn, who literally just fired huge freeze. Like I got a notification when I was funny enough recording my intro. So that's that's probably going to be a win. And then Kentucky, which is a win. So they are going to go into the Tennessee game 9-2. So I'm going to be honest, we're probably not going to talk about Vanderbilt until week 14, but they are I know I just kind of spent the past couple of minutes, kind of dissing Vanderbilt, but they will go into that Tennessee game 9-2. Tennessee just lost to Oklahoma. I think they maybe should have won that game, but you'll see that in a couple minutes. They need to beat Tennessee. Like if they lose to Tennessee, they're out of the playoff. And I think they'll probably be favored going into England. And depending on the state of that Tennessee team, that could be Tennessee could come out and just want to dominate, or they could be a dead team. Tennessee right now is a three-loss team. They're most likely eliminated from the playoff. So it just depends, like how they if Tennessee shows up. And if Tennessee shows up, they could make that game a good game. But I want to go back to the other UT that Vanderbilt was playing. I do want to talk about the winner, Texas. Texas all of a sudden looks like a scary team now. Like they got a really tough remaining schedule. They got Georgia, Arkansas, and Texas A&M, I believe. Those are their like kind of like last couple games. It's that's a tough schedule. That's two top five teams in the country. In my opinion, two of maybe the best four teams in the country. But all of a sudden, that Georgia game doesn't look as scary. A couple weeks ago, we all probably would have said Georgia wins by a couple scores. Texas, Texas may be able to do something, especially with their season on the line. Even though I feel like if they go 1-1 in the Georgia and Texas A&M games, I do believe they will make the playoff because their third loss is against Ohio State, which if they go 9-3 and don't make the playoffs, no team's ever going to schedule not like hard non-conference games. And why should they? Because Texas should be rewarded for playing Ohio State, win or lose. So yeah, overall. Texas beats Vanderbilt. The score does not indicate how close the game was. Vanderbilt scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. Going into the fourth quarter, it was 34 to 10. 34 to 10. Tech, Texas dominated the game, and they just gave up in the fourth quarter, but they won. And they should be respected, and Arch Manning should be respected. And if you look at his numbers, that's up there with some of the best quarterbacks in the country. Okay, next game, we got what was probably the game of the weekend, I would say. We have SMU beats the 10th ranked Miami team in overtime, 26 to 20. So I was at this game. It was a great atmosphere. So earlier this week, Britt Lashley got an extension from SMU. He is now one of the 10 highest paid coaches in college football. I want to pause and let you guys think about that. There was a lot of blowback on this extension because they're like, is he one of the 10 best coaches in college football? That Miami team is arguably one of the top five most talented teams in the country. All the guys on their offensive line, their tackles, guard center, they're gonna make the NFL. That D line, Ruben Bain, phenomenal player. SMU won. And yes, Miami beat themselves with the penalties, the interceptions, all that. SMU didn't turn the ball over in the second half in overtime. And I mean, they were down. Like they went down by a touchdown early. E- They were down by a field goal at halftime, and they just slowly came and creeped back. And it was a very impressive performance from SMU. The passing game was phenomenal, and they they recovered. Like there was a drop by their running back, who TJ Harden, who ended up scoring the game-winning touchdown. I believe it was in the third quarter, and it was a little wheel route, and he dropped it. That would have been a 50-yard gain. Like they would have, like he had one guy in front of him, and he probably would have beaten him. That you could tell knocked the life out of the SMU sideline because that was their chance. But SMU stayed and dominated, and they drove down the field at the end, kicked a field goal, forced overtime, picked off Carson Beck in overtime, and won. And I do want to talk about Miami because this is just sad. I mean, they lose to Louisville, get a bye, and now they lose to SMU. Like this team, three weeks ago, before that Louisville game, people were saying they're going to be a dangerous team in the playoff. They're not going to be in the playoff now. Like they were eliminated from the playoff race, and they beat themselves. I mean, their offensive line had so many penalties, so many. It was a ridiculous amount. Like these penalties killed Miami. That's what kept SMU in the game. Um, and it's just the people are going to be calling for Cristobal's head. I don't believe so. I think Cristobal's a great recruiter and a good coach. And if he got fired, I mean, he would be picked up like that. I mean, if you look at Oregon, Oregon left Cristobal and Cristobal left Oregon. Yes, Oregon got better after he left because they just found the next prodigy, like the next Kirby Smart. But I just want you to look at that second line right there. Miami beat themselves because all those penalties are unacceptable. And without those penalties, I truly believe Miami wins this game. But I want to talk about the winning team, SMU. SMU's passing game, especially this receiver, Jordan Hudson. I mean, he's going to be playing on Sundays. SMU wins it. SMU deserves it. Yeah. And also, they're not out of the playoff race. They're on their way to Charlotte. And if they go to Charlotte, I believe they will win that ACC championship. Okay, next, we got Georgia beating Florida 24-20. So this was a game that I thought Georgia would make a statement in. I thought Georgia would come out. I'm not going to say come out fast because they normally never do, but I thought this was going to be like a slow burn, like an anaconda type of game. Like, yes, maybe they'd be up by a score at halftime, but the second half they would dominate. Funny enough, I thought it would be exactly like the Ohio State Penn State game. Pretty much that exact script. Maybe not as dominant of a passing attack, but I thought that would be the script. And it wasn't. It was a tie game going in a half. Florida stayed around, and Georgia had a hard time putting them away. Yes, they did. And that is, if I'm a Georgia fan, and I'm not, but if I'm a Georgia fan, I'm like, come on, this is a rivalry game. You know the players will get up for this. They're like, can we please just dominate one game? No. I mean, the Tennessee game, I mean, they needed a missed field goal to win. The Bama game, they lost. And this Tennessee game, sorry, this Florida game and the Ole Miss game too. Like, you just want Georgia to have one dominant win, similar to that Texas game last year, the one in the regular season. And they haven't yet. But I think they are starting to peak at the right time, similar to Ohio State last year, where this passing attack is starting to improve. The run game is still good. In the defense, they're they're not playing as good in the past couple of weeks, but I mean, there's still NFL players all over that defense. Now let's talk about Florida. Their next head coach is going to have a lot of talent. I mean, Florida pushed a team that will be playing the SEC championship. I'm saying it right now. Georgia will be in that SEC championship. If they win every game for the rest of the year, I truly believe they will win the SEC. I just think someone's bound to slip up, especially if A&M loses to Texas. I believe if A&M loses to Texas and Georgia beats Texas, then it will be Georgia Bama in the SEC championship. But Florida pushed them. And this Florida running game, Jaden Ball, great running back. Florida, Florida's good. Like they got some talent. I don't know if they're gonna win many games for the rest of the year, but next year they will be a very solid team, assuming they get the head coach right. If you were to have Lane Kiffin come in and take on this roster, and I'm talking about this year, This Florida team is probably 9-3. I mean, you look at their games, they probably beat LSU because I don't believe DJ Lagway turns over the ball 5 times with Lane Kiffin. They beat USF. I mean, that's an unacceptable loss. And I'll say Miami, Texas A&M, they still lose, and they probably win this game. And all of a sudden, Florida, instead of 3-5, they are 6-2. I'm telling you, this roster is great. Billy Napier constructed a fantastic roster. Florida is one good coach away. One very good coach away, and they will be a very dangerous program. Next, we got Oklahoma beating Tennessee 33-27. This is just another case similar to Miami. Tennessee beat themselves. They turned the ball over 3 times. 3 times. And Oklahoma capitalized on all of those. And most importantly, Oklahoma stopped the run. I mean, this Tennessee rushing attack, I mean, it's been solid for years. This year, there was questions going into the year about it, but overall, I mean, I feel like they've been decent. But this was a night game in Neyland, a fantastic atmosphere, and Oklahoma just simply kind of went in there, stayed patient, only had, I think, 2 turnovers. I mean, I'm not gonna say only, but 2 turnovers compared to the 3 Tennessee had, and they just waited for their opportunities and they struck. And this Oklahoma, I mean, this was Oklahoma's best performance of the year, just as a team as a whole. I mean, yes, they dominated Michigan, but we don't know how good Michigan is. This was overall a fantastic, I mean, this was an entertaining game. Like I was kind of very tuned into this one. I thought it was great. Tennessee, you know, before the season started, I figured, I said Tennessee probably goes 8-4. And if you were to ask, oh, what games do you think they lose? In the preseason, I said they probably lose to Georgia, Bama, Oklahoma, Florida. I was not expecting them to lose to Oklahoma this weekend. I actually thought they were going to make a statement this weekend. I mean, you look at Oklahoma, they're a little down. They got kind of, I don't want to say dominated by Ole Miss last week, but very humbled. Like they thought their defense was so good, and Ole Miss just kind of went in there and picked them apart. Credit to Lane Kiffin on that one. Tennessee, this offense, I think everyone could agree, was very good. And I mean, they played good. Their passing game was good, but they just turned the ball over. I mean, Oklahoma, they simply just played opportunistic football. That's all they did. Like Tennessee, without those turnovers, they have this game won. And at the end, John Mateer going in, kind of like sealing the game with that touchdown. But I mean, I get mad when programs waste such great atmospheres, and you're going to see another one in this next game, but especially this game. I mean, Tennessee had their blackout. It was a night game in Neyland. They hadn't gone that all year for a big game. I mean, the Georgia game was a day game. Last year, the Bama year game was a day game. And Tennessee, they just choked. It was that simple. I'd also want to give credit to Oklahoma. I mean, they stopped the run. Like Tennessee could not run the ball to save their lives against Oklahoma, and Oklahoma ran it fairly well. Their run game was great. I do want to give credit to that. And also John Mateer running the ball was fantastic. Um, you know, if you look at the box score, you wouldn't be impressed with John Mateer's passing numbers, but he did a serviceable job. And with this, all of a sudden, Oklahoma has a shot at the playoff. Yes, 2 weeks they play at Alabama. That's going to be probably their toughest game of the year. But if they put up a fight, there is an argument a 9-3 Oklahoma should be in the playoff, especially if Texas continues to dominate. Because all of a sudden, your losses are to Ole Miss. Right now, your only losses are to Ole Miss and Texas. And assuming Texas goes 9-3, like, and let's say they split the A&M and Georgia game, that Texas losses, I never like to say losses are good losses, But if a loss were to be rated, that'd be a very high rated loss. That'd be a good loss. And then you got Ole Miss, who they're going to go 11-1. I mean, I think all they have left on their schedule is Citadel, Mississippi State, and Florida. Not in that order, but I think the only team that challenges them, I think, are is Florida. I do think they're going to come prepared for Mississippi State, even though Mississippi State just won in a great game. Oklahoma, I mean, you look at this team and you kind of like you just wonder, like you're like, how far can this team go? And this game really changed my view on Oklahoma because I thought Oklahoma was dead. I thought Venables was on the hot seat. Now all of a sudden, Oklahoma, great team. Okay, in our final game of the week, we're going to talk about USC beats Nebraska in Lincoln 21-17. So Lincoln Riley gets the win in Lincoln. So first off, I don't like to talk about losers first, but this Nebraska running back, I mean, he was, I mean, he was phenomenal. I mean, from the first drive on, and at the end, I know he slipped and on that fourth down, and that's what this game will probably be remembered for in terms of like how he played. But Emmett Johnson, I think he had like 160 yards touchdown, carried the ball, I think close to 30 times, which statistically Nebraska is supposed to win if he does that. He and King Miller right here, this guy right here for USC was great too, but Emmett Johnson, in my opinion, was the star of this game. I mean, he was consistently getting those 5 to 6 yard rushes, picking up those third and three, third and fours. I mean, and he was the reason Nebraska was in the game because, this isn't really a popular take, but Dylan Raiola did not play good in this game. And I know he got injured, and I hope he's healthy and okay. He was not playing that good. He was underthrowing guys. He was missing some throws that I thought he should have made. Like that, if you're a top 5 to 10 quarterback in college football, you have to make certain throws, and he just didn't make them. I don't really get the hype on him. And, another hot take, if he's healthy for this, like if he doesn't get injured, I still think USC wins. They had all the momentum in the second half. I mean, their defense allowed 3 points in the second half, which was phenomenal performance. And USC, I mean, they struggled in their first half. I mean, their offense looked like molasses. It was awful, but they bounced back. They won, and I think this is a credit. I mean, this is a credit to the whole culture at USC. I mean, their defense got dominated against Notre Dame. They could not stop the run, and they couldn't stop it against Nebraska. But in the second half, those 6 yard, those 5 to 9 yard carries by Emmett Johnson turned into 2 to 4 yards. And that's what USC needed to do to win because Emmett Johnson's such a good player. You don't know if you could stop. Like, I don't know many teams that could stop him. USC was able to make, like, kind of mellow him out. And King Miller really showed up to this game. Also, I thought Brian Jackson, the other running back, he's more of a power back for USC. I thought he played really good. Um, and Jaden Mayava, when they needed him to step up, he stepped up. The stats do not do justice. Yes, the first 3 quarters of football, not the best. He showed up in the fourth quarter, even though his rushing touchdown, I think, was in the third quarter. He showed up when his team needed him, and now all of a sudden, they got Oregon in a couple weeks. That's not such an easy game for Oregon anymore. Because USC, everyone was saying, oh, if they beat Nebraska, oh, USC is going to put up some points. That's what they're going to have to do to beat Nebraska. Game was 21-17. Like 38 total points were scored in the game. A lot of people said USC would need to score 38 points to win. So, yes, I know Nebraska is not as good of a team as Oregon, but USC, like, I think this was a statement game for them right here. The Michigan game was a good game, but that was at home. This was on the road and probably outside of Oregon, the toughest environment they're going to face all year in terms of a road environment. Like, I think Nebraska, this environment was tougher than the Notre Dame one. I mean, it was so loud. That crowd really was a 12th player for them. And USC, I mean, that defense, I mean, so going like The two halves versus Notre Dame in the first half against Nebraska, those were not good halves of defense for USC. Like, they just couldn't stop the run. And whatever Dan Lin told his defense during halftime worked because USC allowed only 3 points in the second half. 3 points. And they got a fourth down stop. And yes, I know Nebraska's, Dylan Raiola got injured. And yes, that was a part of the game. I do not think it changes the outcome. He was not playing that good. I'm sorry, but he was just not playing that good. And the story of this game should be USC's run game and the improvement of USC's defense. Also, their linebackers too, Stevens, Gentry, like those guys were great. And USC, I mean, they just took what Nebraska gave them. USC was making so many errors, but ultimately they found out a way to win, and that's what you got to do in college football. So, just some other takeaways from this week. Clemson falls to Duke. Um, and now they're 3-5. And this whole talk about Dabo, Dabo should not be fired. What he built at Clemson's been phenomenal. This is just a down year for them, but they gotta make some changes in that building. Not with the head coach, but um, with the other stuff. And that's really all I'm gonna say about that. Utah dominates Cincinnati. Kind of figured that would happen. Not much to talk about. Georgia Tech loses to NC State. All of a sudden the ACC is wide open. Like there's chaos. SMU is probably now the favorite to win the ACC, and they're 5-3, but they only have one conference loss. And then finally, you're starting to find out like who the playoff teams are. Right now, you can comfortably say Ohio State. So before going into Saturday, you were able to comfortably say the playoff teams were Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, Alabama, Texas A&M, Georgia. So those six teams right there. All of a sudden, oh, and Georgia Tech as well. All of a sudden, Georgia Tech, they may not make the playoffs. I mean, they could lose another game and not even make the ACC championship. So, and all this, and you look at teams all of a sudden, maybe Oklahoma makes a playoff, maybe Texas makes a run at it. So you're starting to find out who the true teams are. So I think it's those six of those teams. I don't think Georgia Tech's in it anymore. So six of those teams have locked up a playoff spot. Um, and then you got a group of five, so that's seven. And then an ACC team, that's eight. A Big 12 team, that's nine. And there's three at-large spots. I think the teams competing in those spots would be Texas, Oklahoma, and also Ole Miss. Sorry, Ole Miss is in there. So sorry, two at-large spots. You got Texas, Oklahoma, USC, Notre Dame, and let's just say two ACC teams. Seven teams competing for two spots. you know, I'm just excited as you guys for this season. It's been a great season, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for my NFL takeaways. I hope you guys liked it. If you have any criticisms, please leave a comment about it, and thank you.